Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're jumping straight into a really jaw-dropping meteorological forecast for Northern Eurasia. We're looking at December 7th to the 16th, 2025.
And the sources are describing this as a profound atmospheric dichotomy. A split personality, really.
Split personality. What does that mean in practice?
It means you have a continent being forced to prepare for two completely different high-cost disasters at the exact same time. It's severe storm management in the west and deep, dangerous winter preparedness in the east.
Okay, let's unpack that. The western half first. The sources call it a mild maritime storm regime.
Right, and that's all being driven by a positive North Atlantic oscillation, the NAO plus back.
And for those of us who aren't meteorologists, the NAO plus is what exactly?
Well, think of it like a giant atmospheric seesaw over the Atlantic. When it's positive, it acts like a high-speed conveyor belt. It just fires warm, moist air and some very intense storms right at the UK, France, and Germany.
So we're talking about relentless wind and rain.
Exactly. The main hazards are sequential windstorms and just extensive rainfall. The models show widespread totals of 20 to 40 millimeters, but, in higher terrains, that could easily hit 100 millimeters.
100. Wow. And this is coming right after other big storms like Storm Bjorn.
Yes, and Bjorn had a central pressure of 970 HPA.
So for the average person, how bad is 970?
That's getting very close to hurricane intensity. I mean, it tells you the atmosphere is just incredibly energized. These aren't just nuisance storms, they are major threats to infrastructure.
Okay, so that's a very wet, very windy story out west. How dramatic is the flip side in the east?
It's the complete opposite. The east is locked into a severe continental winter, and this is forced by a strong negative NAO and Arctic oscillation. So NAO and AO.
The other side of that seesaw.
Precisely. That causes the jet stream to buckle, to wobble, and it allows this deep, deep pull of Siberian cold air to just flood south.
So that means heavy snow, blizzards, temperatures dropping to -10 Celsius in Central European Russia.
At least. But here's where it gets genuinely dangerous. The real worry is the collision corridor, right across Eastern Europe and Western Russia.
And what happens there?
That's where we have a high confidence alert for dangerous icing events. Freezing rain.
Freezing rain. So that's when...
It's when rain falls through a warm layer of air high up, so it's liquid, but then it hits surfaces down below that are well below zero. Roads, trees, power lines. And it freezes instantly.
So the weight of that ice.
It just builds and builds. It can bring down tower lines, communication towers. It's an acute risk for catastrophic infrastructure failure. It can cause blackouts for days, even weeks.
So what's lining up on a global scale to cause this perfect split?
It's a synchronization of some very powerful drivers. You have a persisting weak La Niña event out in the Pacific, and that's combining with an anticipated polar vortex disruption.
We hear about the polar vortex all the time.
We do, but the timing here is critical. This specific alignment amplifies the risk of that strong NAO configuration. It essentially weakens the whole planetary flow and makes the jet stream much more unstable.
Which brings up this climate paradox, right? We're always talking about global warming, but the East is facing an extreme deep freeze.
Right. And what's so fascinating is that research now shows that Arctic amplification, the fact the Arctic is warming so fast, has paradoxically doubled the risk of these kinds of harsh winters in Eurasia.
How does that work?
Well, it's not just about turning up the heat everywhere, it's about amplifying the extremes. Changes in sea ice growth, especially in the Barents-Kara seas, are messing with atmospheric wave patterns. It makes it easier for those cold blasts to break out and move south.
And you mentioned there's a unique risk in the Caucasus Mountains, too.
Exactly. A cascading risk. If you get intense heavy snowfall there and then a rapid melt or a rain on snow event, you're looking at triggering mud flows and landslides. And that's a vulnerability that's already higher because of glacial retreat. A real multi-stage disaster.
So if you pull it all together, the real challenge is managing two completely different high-impact crises at once.
Yes. Dual failure contingency planning. Your energy grids and supply chains have to somehow cope with wind and flood outages in the west at the exact same time as deep freeze and icing failures in the east.
Which feeds right into this trend we keep seeing of escalating monetary losses from climate-related disasters.
It contributes directly. You have two different climate-amplified hazards hitting a deeply connected continent simultaneously.
So, as you process this deep dive, maybe the thing to consider is the true monetary value of proactive climate adaptation. When you're forced to prepare for a flood and a blizzard to hit your connected world at the very same moment, the cost of not being ready just goes up exponentially.